Okay, hello friends. So let's get started by creating a template, a page for the shortcut to work properly. I'll start with creating a page called databases. Inside we will have a few more pages. It will actually be more databases. First one is time entries. So this database will contain all the time entries, and the second one will have projects. So inside of this database we'll have all projects related to these time entries. So first let's set up time entries database. Have a name. It will have date, which will be called time spent, and time format will be 24 hours. That's my preference. You can set it at 12 hours. The next thing is status. Here we will change in progress to be the default status, and we will delete to do status. The next one will be a formula. So this formula will be called number of minutes. We'll put a associate symbol right here and we'll add this formula. So here in time entries I'll go to minutes and I'll copy this formula. Here. So we are pasting it, so it's date between, date end, and date start in minutes. Like that. Now the next one will be also a formula, but this time it will be a time spent label. So what will it do is it will present the duration of each time entry in a nice format for the home page. So this time we'll go to this stats label. It's a bit bigger one, but it does the job. So let's set up this first time entry and we will see how it works. In time spent, we will choose the date, time. So I'll put here 15:00, and in the end date we'll put 16:00. Right? So it's number of minutes, and we have a time spent label in this neat format. Status in progress, but it actually got to be done through the shortcut like that. And also we'll need to set a relation to the projects database. It's a two-way relation, and call it time entries project, right? So we'll add relation, and now let's go back to databases and go to projects. So we have automatically relation right here, but I also like to put status, and these are all fine. We're also gonna put a roll-up property, which will be called minutes, and relation will be time entries, property minutes, number of minutes. That's why we needed that property, the formula property. So we will calculate the sum of the number of minutes for all the time entries are related to this project, right? So it's minutes, and just I'll call it example project. Status is progress of 0 minutes because we have no time entries related to it, but I also need a formula, another formula, which will be from the projects. So it's going to be like that. And we'll now relate this time entry here, and as you see we have minutes, and also we have the time there. But also if we go to time entries, time entry, so it's going to be test 2. We'll add the time, we'll include a time, it will be 16 till 17. So it's also 1 hour, and it's also done, and it's related to example project. So if we go to projects now, we have 2 hours, 120 minutes. So that's pretty much it for the databases setup. Now we'll go back to Time Tracker homepage. I'll add a few spaces here and we'll start adding some elements here. So first one is going to be projects. I'll call it projects, heading 3, add later, and here I'll add a linked view to a database. And guess what it's going to be? It's going to be project. Now I'm going to change some things about it. I'll rename the table to be total time distribution. The layout will be gallery, car preview none, and the visible properties will be status and this formula. Okay, that's it for this linked view. And now let's add a heading 3 for time entries. Time entries, so I'll add a divider and I'll add also a linked view to the time entries. Good. Now what I'm going to do is I will change things about it. I'll edit this view, so I'll edit the layout to be a timeline. Property shown, let's show status and time spent label. The filter will be by time spent. Start date is today. So this will be a today view. Right. So I'm going to now add a next one, which is going to be, and we'll also hide the database title as well as here. So now I'll add another timeline view, and this time be also time entries. I'll add one more, which will be timeline and time entries. So these will pretty much be filtered by date this month. So this will be this week, and properties will be the same basically. And here we'll have this month. So properties will be status, time label as well. So that is pretty much it for the template. And now let's go to the shortcuts part. The next thing we can do is we can personalize the look of the project pages in Notion. So here's the example project page, and we can customize its layout to be a bit different. So we have this property group, and we can pin some properties like status and this formula, which is basically a total time distribution. Like so. We can also change this icon to be something like that. And in property group, we can move to panel. We can leave it like this here. We can move it there, and we can add time entries there, just as it is, and it will show the start and end date for the time entry and total time spent during the time entry, and we can apply this to all pages. So like that, we have a compact look at the projects page in Notion. We have a status, total time distribution formula, and we have each individual time entry that's related to this project. Okay, and the final and the most important thing you should do in Notion before moving on to the shortcuts part is you need to share need to connect this page to your integration. My integration is called shortcuts. As the name suggests, it's related to shortcuts, the communication of shortcuts with Notion. Confirm. Okay, now we are ready to go to the shortcuts part. Okay, friends, welcome to the shortcuts part of this tutorial. So we will start with the stop current time entry shortcut. There will also be a start new time entry shortcut and show the current time entry shortcut. Okay, let's start with the shortcut that will automatically stop a time entry if one is already running, and that means that some time entry in the Notion database should have in progress status and only has the start date. So let's start with getting a Notion API key. Once again, I'm using Notion API. I'm using data jar application to get my Notion API key. It's stored safely in there, and I can just quickly grab it from the app thanks to having this action in shortcuts, and I'll immediately call this a key variable. So once we have the API key, now we can get to the first API call, the first request, which will be the query request. We will query the database with time entries and to check whether or not there is in progress time entry or not, and if there is one, we will stop it, meaning we will set the done status and we will set the end date to be the current date. So I will use get contents of URL action, put it here, clear the variable here, and this is going to fit following URL database, and here we need to put the ID for the time entries database. So we'll go databases, time entries, and I'll just copy its link. We need to separate this portion from here and put it after the slash, and now write query. Now we're gonna show more, and in method I'll put post headers, add 2 headers. One will be authorization, bearer, and key, like so. The next key will be Notion version, and this will be 2022-06-28. And in JSON part, we'll add filter dictionary. We need to set filter for the status. The status should be only in progress. So we'll put here first key value pair is property text, and it's going to be status. The next one is status dictionary equals in progress. Okay, let me check Notion if it's correct. As you see, we have I have this example time entry here, and it's in progress, so it should appear in our shortcut as the one that's not finished. So we have in progress here, but this, you need to be very careful with the capitals here. As you see in progress, the P is lowercase, meaning we need to change it. So I'll change it quickly to be in progress, so everything will be nice and smooth. Now let's go back to the shortcut and status equals in progress. Right, so after the request, we'll have some key value pairs. I'll save your time and just say that you need to get value for results, and the results in this request is a list, meaning it has multiple items and we can count them. So by the logic, if we filter only for in progress, set filter only for in progress time entries, that means we only should have one item in the results list. So let's just try this shortcut. Let's test it and see if it shows any. Oh, it shows 0. All right. That means that we have some issues going on. All right, so we can inspect the problem, just putting stop and output action right here and see what we see here. Okay, invalid request URL. Okay, and as you see, I have a mistake here, right? I have put database instead of databases. So that's how you fix your problems in shortcuts. I'm not trying to cut off this portion when I'm messing up, because it's also important to evaluate your issues and fix your problems. So you have databases now instead of database, and as you see, one letter ruins the whole shortcut. And as you see, we have now one as it should be. All right, so based on the logic, based on the numbers this count action can output, we can put some logic into the shortcut. So we can now put the if statement and say if count is greater than 0, that will mean that we have some time entry running and we need to stop it. So for that, we'll get some values now. So if we have only one item this week, we can just straight out our way, we can just get values for this time entry from this list, because if there's only one item, we can just get values for the single record from this list. All right, so we get value for ID in this here, and that means that we should only have one in progress time entry, meaning if you have more than one in progress time entries, this will ruin the shortcut. So keep that in mind. Because that's the mechanics of the shortcut. It just checks for only one, but if there's more than one, it will mess up. All right, so we are getting value for ID in this dictionary. You can make sure you've chosen the right one in here. All right, reveal action and reveal variable, and as you see, we have now the ID. We can duplicate this a few times more because we need some more data to be grabbed from this. So this will be actually only one. You only need now the properties. The ones that's remaining is properties dot time spent dot date. Let's start. And let's try to run the shortcut once and see what it shows. So we have this in ISO 8601 format, and let's check it with Notion. So we have 005. Yeah, it's 005 here as well. We have +2 hours. Just it's adapting to some time zone, but actually it's all correct. So now what we do is we just need it for reference. Now we need to create a get contents of URL request. This request, its purpose will be to edit the end date for that time entry to, and also edit the status. So it's edit requests api@notion.com/read1/pages now, because we're working with pages, individual pages, and it will now have this ID like that. Let's show more. The method is patch, and now we're adding a few keys here. So it's authorization and bearer key. Now it's onto the Notion version 2022-06-28, like that, and request body. So we can put here file or JSON, put JSON, and here we will put properties like that. Gonna be dictionary. Now we open this dictionary and put some more dictionaries. The first one will be status. So we need to edit the status to be done. Let we make sure that it's the right one. It's done. So make sure, keep in mind all the capitals, lowercase, make sure you're putting the right case, like upper or lowercase, based on how you've set up your properties in your database. So here it is. Now we're closing this one and we're adding one more below property. So just make sure it's the hierarchy is all correct. The individual properties dictionaries are under the properties dictionary. So here we're adding the time spent dictionary. This will be a date. I'm adding that one, and here it's going to be a text start. So start will be this one that we got from here, properties time spent date and start. And also we need to add one more, and this will be end. This will be current date. I need to format this, so date format will be ISO 8601, and we need to include the time. Make sure you do that. Let's make sure it's set. Yeah, it's set. Right, so basically that means that now the shortcut should work and do the job, basically, in stopping the time entry, like editing its properties. So now let's run it. See how it goes. It just shows the key, right? And as you see now, we have, I have it's created the day before, so it's like only showing that it's almost 18 hours in for this time entry. What a super productive time entry, right? But it has done status now, and it has the end date as you see specified. So if we run the shortcut once again, so we have otherwise, so we can put here some alert to no in progress time entries. Okay, and if we run it, we will have this alert. We can basically remove the otherwise portion because we don't have any actions determined for the other scenario, like how do we stop the entry if there are no time entries to stop. So that's basically it for this shortcut. So if we now run it once again, it just stops and doesn't show anything, only shows the count. So that is it for the shortcut, and let's go to the start new time entry. On this next shortcut will be the start new time entry. So we'll, as previously, we will get value for the Notion API, and we'll set, oh, that's the ID. We'll set the variable key to this value. And this time around, we'll just use something new. We'll run the shortcut, and guess what? We will run this shortcut that we just made previously. So we are utilizing its ability to stop the time entries to prevent the multiple occurrences of in-progress time entries. As I said before, we don't want multiple time entries to be in progress. That will make that will cause some issues in the shortcut. So that's why we're using this one, and it contains all these actions we put into it, and just we are using it in this shortcut. Also, we just need to show more and clear the input. We don't really need input to the shortcut. So now we are going to get contents of URL, and this request will be a query as previously with time entries, but this time it will be with projects. So we are using databases. So here, this time I'm adding this as letter in the end of, so make sure it's not this, it's this. Now after the slash, we need to put the ID for the projects database. Here we are. Just copy this URL and we will paste it right there. I'll just copy it and paste here. Now we'll query. And now method will be post once again. 2 keys and values there. First one is authorization, bearer key, and the second one is Notion version. This will be 2022 0628, just like that. And now we need to also add a filter. So we'll have a filter and dictionary. So what we want is we want to filter out done projects. We don't want to have in the prompt in the future choose from prompt to have the finished projects, right? So we need to fix that by using a filter. So property status, and we are using this time, again it's status, but it's a bit different this time, with a different operator. So we are using not does not equal does not equal done. This means it equals in progress or not started. I'm closing this filter now, and let's once again get value for results and count for this, count the items. Have one. Let's see, yeah, we only have one project here actually, but if we go with done, for example, so if we run it once again, we'll have 0. So this is how it works. I'm going to change it back to in progress. Okay. And I also have here this, so lowercase, I like to be capital, right? And we're also going to use if in here. So if count is 0, we will display an alert. So we'll display an alert showing there are no not started or in progress projects in your database. Yeah, that's it. And we are just going to stop this shortcut. And otherwise, and it's actually, you can put it in otherwise, but I will just remove the otherwise and continue my shortcuts outside this if statement. You're just simplifying this if, because if you put something inside an if, you're making a shortcut more complicated. But I'd like, for the sake of demonstration, I'd like it to make it more simple. All right, so we will now repeat each item in this list, because we have some projects here. We have one or we have multiple. Either way, we need to repeat with each of them. So what we need to do is we need to put a text in here, and I'm putting it double quotation marks, colon, double quotation marks. That's going to be preparation for JSON format, for formatting the whole project's titles and IDs. So when we choose a title, we'll get value for this title from this future dictionary. Okay, so I'm putting here a repeat item, and I'm putting repeat item here as well. What we're doing now is we need to change the type of data to dictionary right there, as well as here, dictionary, and here get a value for key. We need to get value for properties name.title.one.text.content, like this. So make sure you're just putting dots everywhere, and there's one between title and text. And in here we're just putting ID. So let's see what it shows. So here it is, example project title, and we have its ID. Perfect. Now we need to close this, so we can have multiple of these entries. We need to combine them somehow. So I will use combine text with custom and comma. That is a thing that we just need now to enclose in curly brackets to make it a finished dictionary. Now what we're going to do is before we choose from a project, I will ask for the name for time entry title, like that. So we'll ask for time entry title, and default answer will be like new time entry. Sometimes you may not want to type out a specific name, you'll just have a new time entry. So now I will run the shortcut, and as you see here, we have a new time entry, and we have here automatically, we can just hit done and it will be set as a title for this new time entry. And now I'm going to choose from a list, and guess what the list is going to be? Well, it's going to be a dictionary, but not the whole dictionary. It will be, we need to change data type, it will be keys. So that will result in this. Which one, and we have this project. And now what we miss is we do not have the ID, we just have a title. But for the request for create a new page request, we're going to create a new time entry page. We need to get value, get dictionary value for the selected item. Yeah, we need to clear here, and we need to pick this. Right, so now we have the project. Yeah, let's run it and see what it shows. Example project, we have the ID now, so perfect. We have title, we have the ID, also the current date. The current date will allow us to have the start date, start time. So the next thing we should do is we need to create a new page. Well, there are multiple ways you can do it. You can quickly create a JSON using a text. So that, what I'm going to do is I just go into time entries page, time entries database. I copy its database's URL, and I'm going to run JSON request builder shortcut that I have in my reusable shortcuts kit. So it will automatically show me what properties do I want to put in that request. So I want time spent, project, and I don't want status because the default status will be in progress, and I want a name, so I want 3 of them. I hit done, and there I have the almost finished text, almost finished a request JSON. We only need to fill in some data. These quotation marks to just be current date. Okay, ISO 8601, include time. In project, we're just putting this dictionary value, and in name, we are putting as for input, and it's basically done. But in case you don't have, you don't own my reusable shortcuts kit, we can use it. We can do it all manually. So I'll use get contents of URL. https://api.notion.com/v1/pages. That's it for the create a new page request, and we'll just now open it again. So the method will be post, and we are adding authorization, bearer, and key. Now in there, we're adding Notion version. It will be 2022 0628. Now we're going to put in the JSON. So the first is parent. Yeah, so I can use this automatically created JSON request as a reference. So the parent, and here be database ID. So here you should put the ID for time entries database. Now we're adding properties. And I'm gonna add a dictionary name. This dictionary will contain the array called title. Inside we will have a blank dictionary, and here we'll have text dictionary, and finally the content text that will contain this ask for input. Okay, so shortcut crashed. Happens when you just go all the way to the top. We'll go now back here and let's see. Yeah, when you close this right there, it may cause the shortcut to crash. So be sure that you just go gently through each option. Yeah, so the next one will be the, sorry, not here. It's crash report. So now we're going to add another one. So it will be the product. So side relation, and this is a array. Inside we have a dictionary, and in this dictionary we'll have ID, and this will contain this dictionary value. Right, this was for the project, and the final one is time spent. So here we're just adding date dictionary, and inside have start, and this will have the current date. This will be ISO 8601 and ISO 8601 time, right? Perfect. So this hopefully will create a new entry. Like otherwise, what we would do with this one, in case you're wondering, we also need to add another key here. So it's content type application /JSON, like that. And here we need to change the file, and as variable choose that text, this text, and that will work either way. So I'm going to change for JSON for this video. Now let's see the time entries database, and let's run the shortcut. I'm going to change the example project. And as you see, we have now a new time entry with the default title, and we have the start date 18/25, which is correct during the recording of this video, and we have status in progress, have relation to example project right there. Great, so I think we are going to use this in progress time entry for the next shortcut called the show current time entry. Okay, so the next and the final shortcut of this kit will be show current time entry. Its purpose will be to display status, how many minutes passed since you started the time entry, and it will allow you to grant you options to stop this time entry based on the information you have seen, and we can continue the time entry as well. So let's do as always. Let's get a value for the Notion API, and now let's set a variable key to this value. So this time we will query again not the projects but the time entries database. So we will go https://api.notion.com/v1/databases, and here we will put time entries database ID like that. Now we will put a /query. Right, I'll show more. Method is post. Go through the headers. Now it's going to be authorization. This one is bearer key. Next one is Notion version. It's 122.06.28. Alright, and in here, in the request body, we will we'll put a filter for status, property, status, and status dictionary equals in progress. Okay, and now let's get value for results and count the number of items in this list. So it should be 1 because we only have one time entry with in progress status, and there is 1. So everything is all right till this moment. So if this count is greater than 0, it resembles the stop current time entry shortcut, but this time we're checking. For the shortcut we also need to see if there are any currently running time entries to display the status, to display the time difference. So if the count is greater than 1, meaning if there is one in progress time entry, we will need to get some data about it, additional data, like value for need to change this to be this results. So we need value for ID, and I will duplicate it 2 more times. Get ID. Also, we need to make sure these are all. It's very important. These are all related to the same thing. Results, not to one another, because sometimes you can put this and it will be automatically set to this one. As you see, there is a bond created between these 2 actions, so keep that in mind. Yeah, you need to be there. They are connected in a way, but they are only connected to this thing separately. So we need to get a value for properties and name, title, .1.text, content. Now we need to get value for properties dot time spent. Here, time spent, date, start. Okay, that's it. Now we need to create we need to get time difference. We need to get a number of minutes between the start date and the current date, the start time and current time. So there is a very handy action called adjust date that will do just that for us. So we need to not adjust, get time between dates. That's just how it's called, and it will do wonders for us. So we need to get minutes exactly between not current date and the start, not current date and start date. We need to get between start date and current date, so there won't be a negative number. Okay, so I'll put here start date, this one, and this will be the current date. And let's see what it shows. 22. Okay, let me go to the database. It's 1825 now, and it's locally as of the time recording this video, it's 1847, so it's basically correct in minutes. All right, so that's what we need. Now we are ready to create a choose from menu. We'll create menu, and we need to set up the prompt. So in this quotation marks, I'll just put an example how I see it. So I'll put quotation marks, and in here it means we'll put the title of this time entry. Now we're putting has been running for, and now it's time for this one, minutes. Now we are putting two options here, stop and continue, and there are two as you see, these two created automatically based on these options. So if you want to stop, guess what, we're going to run the stop current time entry shortcut. Why not? So that's what we exactly need to do. We need to stop this current time entry because we want so. And continue, oh, that's pretty simple. We're just stop current, we'll stop this shortcut from running, right? And otherwise, so let's remember, what does it mean otherwise? If there's zero time entries within progress state, so that will mean that we'll need an alert. No time entries in progress. There are no time entries in progress. So that's it. That's basically it for this shortcut. And let's test it out. So I'll run it. So it's a new time entry, has been running for 24 minutes. Very nice format here. We can continue. So if we hit continue, it will just continue. Nothing changed. But if we run it once again, and this time we choose stop and allow to run the other shortcut, it will update its properties with the end date and the status to be done. And that's it. That's our first project. So let's see how many minutes now we have for this example project. We have 2:24. It was 2 hours previously, but now we have this new time entry that's got 24 minutes in. Our total time distribution is 2 hours and 24 minutes. So yeah, that's it for all these shortcuts, friends. Hopefully it wasn't really complicated to you, and you learned something new in the progress. So what you can do is you can go and edit widgets on your home screen and add a new widget for your time tracker kit. So you have all these shortcuts right there at your disposal, so you can so if I run this shortcut, it just stops. It doesn't show anything. So you can put alerts here, like there are no time entries to stop or something like that, or we can just start a new time entries quickly. Doesn't take much time for the shortcut to calculate if there are any time entries running or not, because actually these are two related. If you remember, this one runs this one to check if there are time entries currently running, and if there are such, it stops them. Then the shortcuts does its job in asking us for the title. It retrieves the projects from your project database. Just provides the opportunity to choose one project, and it just basically starts a new time entry. So if I go to today, you see we have a new time entry. Still do not have one, just still in the process of creating. Yeah, we have a new time entry. As you see here, we have 18:52, which is current time. I have example projects right here. And if we go back there, yeah, just updated. So it may take some time for the database to be updated, but you don't worry, the shortcut works. So here's this, and we can also now run show current time entry, and as you see, the time entry has been running for 2 minutes. Only we can stop or continue this time entry. So that's basically it for this tutorial. Thank you guys for staying in this video till this moment, and thank you for watching. If you like this content, if you want to see more of this content, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. Share with your friends who are also keen to learn how to automate their Notion workspaces with shortcuts. Thank you for watching and have a great one.